What if your energy, not your effort, was the missing link to the life that you were meant to lead? Hi, I'm Julianne Meyer, and welcome to Seizing Your Greatness. Today's guest, she brings a whole new meaning to soul-centered leadership. Sarah Stockham is a spiritual empath, a Reiki Master, and dynamic host of Simply Sarah. And her show, Simply Sarah, is a show that empowers service-driven leaders with mindset tools and a touch of mystical inspiration. She's also the creator of From Stressed to Best, which is a 90-day immersive experience designed to unlock crystal clear decision making, vibrant energy, and total alignment. Sarah, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here today.
It is such a delight to be in studio with you, friend. Thank
I
you so much.
know. Thank you. Thank you. For those that are watching and who do not know this, Sarah happens to be one of my all-time favorite people on the planet. And of course she is. She is a rock star in so many different ways. And, one of the first questions that I want to ask you about is your show, Simply Sarah, because that is one of the ways that you and I get to work together. And so, of course, I'm super proud of everything that you've created. But I'd love for you to share. So maybe if people haven't seen your show yet, what can they expect when they see it?
They can expect conversations with people from around the world. I was raised in Democratic Republic of Congo and just 4 degrees south of the equator, and have a pretty large world view from that. I think differently than other people, having been raised with the tribe. And it also then grounded me as a child very, very deeply. And so I get the opportunity every single week to bring fresh content, new conversations with people from around the world, having them share their life, having them share their struggles, because inside of there are the tools for how they got through it,
Mm-hmm.
for them to share those incredibly, sometimes very, very hard-earned tools with other people, and that space of just that encouragement, just a little bit more. You can do this. Turn the lights on, keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. Look at the gains, not the gap. All of us have spaces that we're looking at that are gaps. Look at how far you've come. Look at the gain. Be somebody who is encouraged by what you hear and what you see around you. And so that's what our show is about. Thursday afternoons.
I love that. And Simply Sarah is the name of it for those who missed the very, very beginning. We're going to talk about it again in a little bit. But the thing that I really like about that is that it encompasses so many aspects of you as a person, as you know, all the different things that you've done, accomplished, been, seen, experienced, all more of you than just one little baby piece. And I'm just curious, how do you keep it fresh and exciting for yourself, because you've been on for a while now?
Thank you so much for asking that question. And I also just want to thank you, Julianne, for being the person who was watching what was taking place on my YouTube. And as you got your own channel, said, hey, your own network, you said, would you be interested? And for me, I come from education background, right? And so I was like, really, we're going to go into television? And yet there was a space for me to say, I'm curious enough to have a conversation with you, Julianne, and you promised to hold my hand every step of the way, and you have. I am not a techie, so if I can do this, other people also can do this. And I've totally forgotten the question that you asked about what I'm supposed to be answering.
That's okay. I'm just curious how you keep it fresh. How do you keep finding new, interesting people? I mean, because I know for me with my last show, I got to the point where I was like, I need to do something slightly different because I'm no longer entertained in the way that I was before. So I'm curious how you keep it fresh.
Growing up in Africa, we had a dining room table that was literally, we had a cinder block house. We were in the jungle, but it was wooden horses that you build things with, with a plywood piece across it. And sometimes there was a desk underneath there. But this plywood door was what we entertained dignitaries literally from around the world who would fly in to see what we were doing. And there was not a place around that you could say, hey, Kentucky Fried Chicken, would you please, drop off? That was not going to happen. And so around this makeshift table, We had people from Switzerland, people from Australia, people from Greece, people from the States, different places in the States, people from Canada, people from all over the world, literally coming in to see what we were doing, what my parents were doing, what the projects were. And from that, I just found it fascinating as a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year old to listen to people with their accents talk about how they got to where we were in the middle of the jungle to share their stories. And so for me, we are more than 2 years in. I have goosebumps right now, Julianne, as I share that with you. I just have such a desire to hear people's stories and
Mhm.
know that inside of those stories are such key tools that are tools that help service focused entrepreneurs be able to go, oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I used to do that. It's a
Mhm.
great way to organize time. Oh, that's a really good way to make sure that I'm caring for the most important relationships in my family or in my life. I'm keeping the main thing the main thing.
I like that, keeping the main thing the main thing. It is hard to remember every once in a while. Something that I really wanted to point out about what you're doing that I really enjoy is that, being an entrepreneur, it can be very lonely. And I don't care, even if you are around other entrepreneurs, nobody has your story, your journey, your path. And so for you to just help people, remember that they're not alone in the struggle. And this is how, like you said, just those reminders that just, hey, you know what, maybe, I mean, for me, it's meditation. Maybe meditation, you got to pick that back up, girl, because you feel better when you do it.
Right. For some people, there's that space of Reiki, which is a cousin to meditation. Some people find it very hard to move into that space where the brain is just focused on very, very quiet things. And then having someone do Reiki for them, on them, can be
Mhm,
something, whether it's in person or distance. I also have found that this space of recognizing rather than having our brain tell us and
mhm,
force all the chemicals into our body to say, oh, you're supposed to be concerned right now and moving into that space of fight or flight. I
mhm,
fully understand that there was a space and time when, as where we were having the saber-toothed tigers and we needed, right? That was just so important. But when I hear a sound on my phone and I go to that same place thinking it's a saber-toothed tiger, that's my reaction.
mhm,
To learn that we can actually speak to that. We can speak to our brain, that we have a way of being able to remind our being that we are still in the moment and the chemicals, those stress hormones, don't need to flow through our body. And the reason that that's so critical is because we are biologically different for men. And I've asked the scientists who've done the deep work on this, and I think the answer is because they used to go to war. But for men, from the point that they trigger into fight or flight, fib, fawn, or flee, that they are going to go be in that space for up to 9 hours.
mhm.
That's kind of a long time. But for women, it's 24 hours. That's a really long time to have all of those hormones flowing through the body. And so for us to be able to find ways to be able to talk to our brain and go, oh, yeah, I hear that. I see that. I smell that. Nope, I'm not okay with any of those things, but I know that I'm okay in this moment, that I'm safe.
Mhm.
And being able to talk to the brain and stop, completely stop the those stress hormones from flowing is such a empowering place that allows us to be so much
Oh, we
more
have.
authentically who we are in tools that we talk about.
Oh, I love that. I'm just wondering, like, maybe you know the answer to this, maybe you don't, but what happens when you're in that, like the chemicals have been released? Now it's 24 hours, right? Well, what if something else happens? Does it add another 24 hours onto that?
That
Or,
is such a great question. And in fact, from the point that we trigger, we are actually more likely to trigger. So from a resting heart rate, so if you're out for a run, this doesn't count, right? Because your heart rate's
Mhm,
already up. But from a resting heart rate, we have 10 seconds to be able to talk to our brain to say, hey, we don't need to do this. And then if we notice that we have triggered, to keep ourselves from triggering again. And then there are things that we can do to bring ourselves back much faster, much easier. The first rush of the chemicals is the one that takes the salts, the sugars, the fats, the water, puts it into our abdominal area so that we can run away, we can fight. But everything that's been stripped has to, at some point, go back. And that's where we find when it returns at 2 o'clock in the morning and we are wide awake. That's that second point, the glucocorticoids that are moving back to where we want them to be. We want to be awake when the alarm goes off. We don't necessarily want to be awake and at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so finding ways to stop it, and if we don't stop it, to be able to change shifts, switch the gears that we're in faster to move back into a place. Those are also things that we can do. So you were absolutely right, Julianne. We don't want to be in the perpetual rat race.
Yeah.
It's too damaging for our physical being. We're seeing that with people who have that extra layer of fat around their gut. And if they don't handle that, or if they don't learn new ways, or if they have certain DNA that they can start to have it across their neck area, which then they call Cushing's disease, there is just so much damage. What we know is that stress is the number one contributor to dis-ease, that space of us not being in a place of ease, and that then moves into other places of difficulty for our body. And so we are here for a purpose. We are here in order to shine like crazy, the amazing, beautiful being that we are. I see us as all being instruments in this incredible celestial orchestra. And we need to be in tune. We need to know that we can play our instrument, and we need to know when to do that. And being present allows us to know when we are supposed to move forward with that, and other times when it's just good for us to listen, to be silent, and to allow someone else to shine. And so I think it's super important.
I really like that. Something that made me think about it too is, that I come from a background of working in addiction recovery.
Yes.
And one of the things that I never really understood was, and now it makes sense to me, but it's like, when you are in early recovery, if you're expected to go to meetings and all this, and they always say, get yourself a commitment so that you'll go. And I always thought, well, that's silly. Why do I need a commitment? And then I realized, oh, it's because when I feel good, I don't go. And when I don't feel good, I go. So if I keep up the practice of going, then the odds of me staying okay
Right.
drastically increase. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking too, like, that's why I call it like a Reiki practice or a meditation practice. It's not something, okay, I'm done. It's
Right.
something you just keep doing because it keeps you there and really just realigns. Is that
Mhm.
what you think?
I do. I listen to people who have been really far down the 12-step recovery space. I can think of one person inside of my family that's been, I would say, 40 years of being really serious about how often they are in meetings. And some of those meetings have been in person, a lot of them have moved online. But finding those places to be able to say, this is where I need to show up. It's my vitamin for taking that next step forward. And I know somebody else who's at like year 46,
Mhm.
they choose to do a daily. And so wherever that happens to be, how that happens to be, both of these people are in positions of incredible leadership. Both of them are in spaces of impacting lives, many, many lives in the health landscape. And for them to be able to share, at least to me,
Mhm.
where they are in that space is just so, so powerful, which gives other people hope that I could do if addiction or whatever it happens to be is a thing that they keep stubbing their toe on and finding a way. Because I do believe that we find ways to be able to mask when we have fear or lack show up in our life.
Mhm.
And those emotions can drive us to places of wanting to hide uh, whatever it is that we know that we're here, or that we're discovering that we're here to be able to share with other people. And it can be easier to go into the numbing or hiding than it
Mhm.
is to showing up. And that's why I think the work that you do on E360 TV as now co-CEO is so vibrant and so important, because you are taking some people who have thousands of different shows out there on different places, and they come and they work with you, and that just elevates it and expands it so much more. They have lots of history, they have lots of experience, they have lots of courage, and they've moved into fearlessness for sure, right? And then you have people who are like, this is what I think I'm supposed to do next, but can you help me figure this out? And I love, love, love that we have a community on E360 TV, that we get together every single week and see other hosts, because we get a chance. You always start the meetings out with, do you have questions or concerns? And then we go into spaces of things that we're excited about, wins that we're having. It gives you an opportunity to catch us up to date on what's happening inside this beautiful, growing organization that's literally having a worldwide impact. And I think those spaces of all of us, today when we were on it, I was just so glad when you asked, do we have questions, that I was able to ask, because there are people there who have incredible knowledge about technology. And it's a space that I work in, but it's not a space that I have this vast knowledge in, and got some really great feedback from the group. Love that. It makes me a better person. I think that when they are teaching me or sharing their wisdom, it also makes them stronger in what they're doing. And just all of us are rising together, and it's such a beautiful, strong, empowering place to be.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think that no matter where you are in your life, whether or not it's you're doing a TV show or whatever your job is or your life is like, to have that sounding board, to have your committee of qualified people to go to, because I think a lot of us tend to ask people who are not qualified for the answers and then get frustrated because they didn't have it or they gave bad advice. Really, what are we expecting? You don't go to the mechanic to buy bread.
And Juliet, in that space, though, if somebody is hiding, if they are trying to numb, they
Mhm.
will go to somebody who is a mechanic and ask them how to make bread,
Exactly.
because they know that it will take them much longer to get to the place where they are actually challenged to show up. And
Mhm.
so being able to say, okay, and this can be an internal conversation. I remember when I first began, it was probably about 2008. I was really challenged in that space for lots of different reasons, and began to spend my lunches 4 days a week by myself. And I was reading really, really good books. I was listening in to really impactful people, and I was listening to the same thing over and over again. I really wanted to get it. I was listening to Jim Rohn. I
Mhm.
just wanted to understand what he was saying. And in that space, I began to pull away from people who, one of them literally every week would wear, often, an Eeyore shirt. Now, I grew up with Winnie the Pooh, and I thought that Winnie the Pooh was just the coolest. But for a person to be showing up in a space of leadership with the Eeyore shirt on and
Mhm.
personifying that wasn't something that was helping my brain see the possibility in the future. And so some of us needed, or perhaps even in this point right now, need to be kind of looking around. The 5 people who are impacting you the most are going to be impacting your financial level and everything else. And so if that person that you are taking the advice from is in person, I invite you to just have that self inquiry. Is this really the right person to be asking these questions from? And then, if not, to begin to be open to the possibility of who has written books, who has left us incredible teachings, whether they are still here in person or not, right?
Mhm.
To find those places to be listening into. Those places of who we listen to allows us to really determine easily what our next steps are. And so you can go to the mechanic and ask for a bread recipe, and they may have it. Chances are uh, that they are going to have a different outlook on bread. And it could be just go to this bakery and go buy the bread.
Exactly. I think that that's a really good point. And I think that a lot of people too don't even realize that they're hiding. Like, how often are we scrolling social media? What do you think you're avoiding? It's like you get a dopamine hit. Why is it? What are you avoiding? It's not that it's so exciting and interesting. It's not like at the end of your life, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I watched the 999th cat video.
Right. But what you and I are doing right now, we are naturally smiling. And that's one of the things, one of the tools that you can use that we teach from Stress to Best. If you sense that there is this stimuli coming in that's stressful, if you smile, and even a sarcastic smirk will do this, it keeps the brain engaged and keeps the dopamine flowing. And we need the dopamine to flow so that we can continue to be in a problem-solving space. And so you can choose to smile naturally. You can choose a sarcastic smile. But truly, when we do this, things change inside of our brain.
Well, considering most of us are human doings anyway, it's kind of nice to have something that will change the chemistry inside by doing something. So,
True.
even as simple as it is. We are running low on time, and there's always a question that I love to ask, and that is, what is something that you wish I would have asked you?
I wish you would have asked me if it takes courage to be courageous. I know that sounds super counterintuitive. Of course, the answer is going to be yes. But finding that space inside of yourself when the voices around you are, we need to do this, we've got to get this done. We started this, you and I had these conversations as we were beginning to pack up our household before we told anybody that we knew that we would be relocating within the 9 months. And all of it happened so much faster. And there were a lot of things that I needed to be doing during that space and time. And yet, as we were traveling, the laptop came with, and you and I had conversations. You interviewed me for the Los Angeles Tribune, and I was on the road, but I had my laptop, and we did the thing, right? And so that space of people being around you saying, hey, focus on this, do this. If the dream is in your heart, you need to be the person who takes it seriously, that you are the person who chooses to do the little things that it takes to keep that dream alive. And here we are more than 2 years later and having a beautiful conversation. And I can say that I am deeply grateful. I thought that I was grateful before, Julianne. I'm so deeply grateful that you sent me that email and said, let's have a conversation about a show. And then as we were talking about possible names, you said, I like the name Simply Sarah. What do you think? And so you were just leaning into what Spirit was sharing with you, but it also gave me a chance to know that I wasn't alone in this process. And I am so, so deeply grateful for that.
Me too. I'm grateful for our friendship. And, something too that I think is, for me, does it take courage to be courageous? For me, it's not necessarily courage as much as faith. Be courageous, because where do you dig that from? I know exactly what you're talking about, but I had a conversation recently about faith with someone, and I was like, but where do you get it?
And I think that space of, yes, having your list and knowing what you're after and moving towards that, but rather than having the expectation, having this desire to be able to aspire. I aspire, right? So we had numbers of way over 288,000 after of our second year. And we are aspiring for over 1 million in this third year. And don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we are doing all of the things that we have control of as the Simply Sarah team to make that happen. And then you let go of the rest of it, right? You focus on the gain, not on the gap.
Exactly. And tell us again, when can people watch your show?
Absolutely. Simply Sarah is live on Thursday afternoons, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And it's also available on demand. So don't forget, you can still catch all those episodes. You can binge watch, as they say. which I truly love. Sarah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for being in my life. You are one of my all-time favorite people. That's, by the way, for those that are watching, I actually say that when I'm introducing her to people. It's not lip service. So anyway, I just want to say thanks for being on the show.
And you are a change maker, and I am so, so grateful for you. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. And everyone, that is all the time that we have for today. So enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you again next Thursday. Bye for now.